my earliest memories. There's just always been games in my family, and you know, back in the old days before there was the internet for connecting people, you sometimes just drop in on a Sunday afternoon and visit friends and visit family. And I remember gaming was always the way of bringing people together. In those days it was primarily card games, but that was a way of bringing friends and family together. So yeah, that's part of my passion around this hobby too, is that we bring people together, family and friends together at the table to enjoy gaming.
I went through high school and university playing Risk, Axis and Allies, and those sorts of games. We played a lot of role-playing games, and when I moved out to Calgary, we had one night we were short enough players to play a decent game of D&D, and one of the guys in the group said, well, I got this game in the car. Let me go bring it in, we'll play it. It was just Settlers of Cattan, and I'd never heard of it before, and this whole new concept of Euro-style gaming where you're not eliminated, where you can all work together, you can trade, you can interact. And 6 years later, I have 1,000 games on my shelf, and we're helping run a convention. So it's just one of those things that clicked with me.
Actually, we just run the whole convention with Darren's games.
Yeah. And I always we played card games as well growing up with my grandmother. And then when I moved to Calgary, there was a board game group, and what my husband and I always did was play party games, so categories, taboo, you know, those sorts. And I wanted to meet new people, just being new to the city, so I showed up to one of the meetups that they had for board games, and they brought up this game. It was called These, and it was totally different than anything that I'd seen. And it was really interesting, and I liked the fact that it wasn't like anything that I'd played before, and that you weren't eliminated like you are in Monopoly and just kind of sitting there for 2 or 3 or more hours and got no money and you can't do anything. So I started playing the games, and now my collection is not as extensive as Darren's, but we have a few games, and you know, we like to have games night and play more social games and games that don't eliminate you and that you're not completely out of it.
And as for me, I go far enough back to Sears catalog days when you opened up the toy section and there were all these cool games in there. And my brother and I, my cousins, the 4 of us, we would play these, and we'd always ask for these games when Christmas came around. And then as things evolved, I got into the historical side of the house. So my gaming was really started with a keen interest in the American Civil War, and back then there was a game called Gettysburg, and it was at the Woodward's store. I remember seeing it and I bought it, and that just started the whole path down this board gaming world. So I love it. It's a great way of expressing those imaginative pieces that exist in individuals, and allows others to kind of come together. So as Tim said, before the internet, you know, it was a question of putting a board game down of any kind and just bringing people together.